Today, we're talking about password management. Let's get it. Now, most of you already know that passwords should be strong, so I'm not going to patronize you now and come out and say, your password should be strong. You already know that. What I am going to do is I'm going to talk about why passwords should be strong and maybe shine a little bit of a light into how hackers go about breaking into passwords. Passwords have two main weaknesses. The first is a lack of entropy, and the second is reuse from system to system, password reuse from system to system. Let's start with entropy. Entropy is probably a word that you might have heard in the past, but maybe not. And in the context of a password, entropy just means randomness, right? It just means how variable, how random is your password. Now, there's some mathematics, some clever mathematics in that, but don't worry about that. All you need to know is that entropy comes from two main characteristics: the number of available characters in any one character on your password, and the second is the overall number of characters in your password. And that's it. Number of available characters and the length of your password. Now, if you just look at the English language, there's 26 characters. Double that if you use some uppercase. So now you've got 52 characters. Toss in numbers, digits. We use a base 10 system for our digits. So there are 10 available characters. You're up to 62. And then toss in special characters, which there are dozens, if not hundreds of special characters that are out there. And all of a sudden, you've got lots of available characters. And then the second part is length. So if you've got lots of available characters in a very long password, your password has a lot of entropy, and entropy equals strength in this case. Now, the way attackers go about breaking into passwords is that they will use some type of password guessing system like Hashcat or Aircrack or something along these lines. And the way they do it is they'll run what's the usual one anyways, is called a brute force attack. And it's where they will just use the computational power of a system to over and over and over try and guess what that password is. Now, if you've got a password that's just digits, remember, if it's just digits, you only have 10 possible different kind of characters, and a password that's even less than, anything less than 10, breaking into that password is instantaneous, right? It's not hard at all to guess that password. On the other end of the spectrum, if you have a password that has lots of entropy, so you've got lots of different types of characters in a really long password, say 20 or 25 digits, then you've got a password that is really, really strong and at today's computational power would take trillions of years to break into, which for the purposes of your lifetime and whatever system you're trying to secure is basically uncrackable at that point. And so this is why entropy for passwords is important. Now, we said the second main weakness is reuse from system to system. And the main reason why is even if you've got an incredibly strong password, if that password were to get leaked somehow, someone were to get a keylogger on one of your systems or were to kind of video you from afar, something along those lines, and your password were to become compromised, if you're reusing that password from one system onto a bunch of other systems, then that attacker has not just access to that system that they've watched you or recorded you, gaining access to there, but on all those other systems that have that password as well. So it's important not to reuse passwords, to have a unique password for every system that asks for authentication through some kind of passphrase. Now, the challenge there is obviously remembering them, because if you've got really random characters that have no kind of discernible human pattern or linguistic pattern to them, and they're 20, 25 characters, I mean, how do you remember all those? My advice here is don't write them down. Use a password management system, something like 1Password or LastPass. There are lots of other systems out there. Just make sure that whatever you get, you have a system that's platform agnostic. What I mean by that is you can install it on Windows, you can install it on your iPad, you can install it on your iPhone. Wherever you're accessing these systems, make sure that your whatever password management system that you install or choose is kind of agnostic across the systems. The last thing I'd say is use an out-of-band multi-factor authentication system. Now, I'm not going to get into that in this video. That's probably for another video. But the reason why is because passwords alone aren't enough these days. Even with these really strong passwords, add a second factor or even a third factor of authentication, exponentially increases the difficulty for a hacker to gain access to that system. That's it for today's video, folks. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, look after each other. I'm out. See ya.